a tourist finds himself in the center of an historic moment. At the top of Tokyo's highest tower during the most powerful earthquake in Japan's recorded history.
Oh my God.
Carlos Asarta, an economics professor now at the University of Delaware, is invited to speak at the prestigious Waseda University. He lands on March 10th, 2011, all set for a day of sightseeing the following day.
One of the professors that invited me came to pick me up, and we were going to do a tour of Tokyo. And Tokyo Tower was the first thing that we went to see.
At the time, the 1,092-foot Tokyo Tower is the tallest structure in the entire country and a favorite tourist spot where the map of the city really comes alive.
It was the first thing I visited and the last thing I visited in Tokyo.
Not long after he gets to the top, Carlos starts to feel vibrations. But these vibrations are far from normal.
And so I actually took my camera out. I started recording, not knowing that it was an earthquake. I just thought, this is cool. I'm going to show my wife when I get back how it kind of moves a little bit on the top. At first, I thought it was simply the wind just moving the tower. And the other professor that was with me said, oh, don't worry, we're safe. And so I thought, well, this is an earthquake. Everybody's used to it. They're not going to do anything about it.
No good, but it's safe.
And then all of a sudden, he started getting worried, and I could hear it. He was making noises. He was really worried, and then people started yelling and crying, and so I figured we were in trouble. We were in a little bit of trouble.
Well, it was one of the larger earthquakes in recorded history, meaning since seismographs were developed and we can measure these things quantitatively.
I had never experienced an earthquake, so I didn't know what it felt like. But seeing the locals being so scared, I figured that it was a serious event.
Carlos Asarta has found himself on top of the tallest structure in the country during a 9.0 magnitude earthquake.
Magnitude 9 is about the largest we normally get on the Earth here.
There must have been somebody that was extremely afraid, and you can hear it throughout the whole recording, just screaming, or maybe a couple of people just screaming.
Tokyo is as prepared for an earthquake as any city in the world. But to Asarta, it seems like this tower may not be able to handle an earthquake of this magnitude.
Oh my God.
Carlos is far from home and far from solid ground.
I knew I was in a deck, and I knew there was absolutely nothing underneath me. And so I was a little bit worried that the tower was actually going to collapse. And in fact, at some point, I was sitting down and I was praying. And thoughts of family and friends actually came through, but especially my children.
Finally, the violent shaking stops.
I think being behind the camera helped me get through it, helped me somewhat put some distance between the actual event and myself.
What do you think, Asano-san? Oh, scary. Very scary. Maybe we go down, huh? Maybe we don't stay here, Asano-san.
And the elevators were not working, so we had to go down the stairs. Then once we got to the bottom, there was another earthquake. And apparently it was a 7-point-some earthquake. And I remember people, again, screaming.
You cannot know whether that's a pre-shock or whether it's the main shock. You just have no idea whether there's going to be another one following it.
Today, he may be far from earthquake country, but it doesn't take much to bring him back to that frightening time and place.
So I'm still a little bit shaken by it, but I think with time, it will just get a lot better.